Social activist Dr. Trevor Ngwane, who's been at the forefront of service delivery protests in Soweto for many years, says the ANC government's record of delivering electricity has been a huge failure for people, including those in Soweto. The doc joins us now via our video link from that community. Dr. Ngwane, thanks very much for your time and welcome to the AM Report. We've had these discussions for quite some time, and I think it's also important to, observe that Soweto residents don't necessarily come out of this smelling like a bed of roses either. Many people feeling that people in that community are obfuscating their duty to pay for electricity. Do they have a point?
Yeah, they might have a point, but one must look at it in its context, because what happened is that during the struggle against apartheid, it was found that black people did not have access to electricity. And then after 1976, the Nationalist Party government, installed electricity in Soweto as part of trying to tone down, the struggle. But then people found that they couldn't afford to pay, and they were poor, so there was what was called a rent boycott. Now, when the new South Africa was being prepared, for example, our president, Cyril Ramaphosa, was part of the delegation which negotiated with Eskom to get rid of the rent boycott. And one of the deals he struck was to allow Sowetans to pay a flat rate. And Sowetans paid. But suddenly, Eskom moved towards paying by consumption, and then the price shot up, in some instances, as much as 800%. And then, so people could not cope. But they continued paying the flat rate, increasing it, but many people found themselves in arrears. So, for example, a house would owe Eskom 100,000 rand. So that is where the problem started.
Right. Okay.
Then, of course, there were the cut-offs. Yeah. So there was just chaos. Yeah.
So it almost appears that there are two issues here, for lack of a better term. On the one hand, there's a contention that we moved from paying a flat rate in Soweto to being charged essentially for what you consume, whilst on the other, there's the issue of overpricing. We'll get to the latter in just a moment. Let's just address the former as a start. Would it be fair to expect the state to still continue charging Soweto residents a flat rate when everybody else in the country is paying for what they consume?
Yeah, well, it's not okay, so that is the whole point. It's not a case of Soweto trying to be different. It's just a case of Soweto standing up for its rights, and reminding the ANC government, of its duties as a developmental state. So the reason why I think Sowetans demand a flat rate is because they remember that time when they had some peace. So black working class people in South Africa have never had peace with energy, with electricity. It's either you have the cut-offs or you have power failures during winter. So, now with the exorbitant price, so the people, they look back to the past. Maybe the flat rate will help us. But I think, of course, we need a uniform tariff system for the whole country. And I think the best tariff would be one which would be affordable for all the people. And it must also have what we call a lifeline, where there's a basic amount of free electricity to cover everyone. As you know, there are many people who are poor, unemployed, pensioners. That way it would be easy to administrate, provision of electricity.
All right, so it at least appears to my mind that it sounds like you're not necessarily still pushing for the notion of a flat rate. The second issue then would be around the overcharging that you feel is taking place in Soweto, also not really a new issue. In fact, I remember Eskom responding to that on this platform saying, well, when they try to send their workers into the community to try ascertain how this is happening, community members themselves are being hostile towards them and are preventing them from doing their jobs. Your response to that?
Yeah, well, when So people, even at home, everywhere, business, there must be a good relationship of trust. But ESCOM acts like a bully when it approaches especially black working class people. And in fact, I can say now that ESCOM has a history of energy racism. From the days of apartheid, there was no electricity for black people. And even when, the apartheid government put electricity, it was part of the struggle to subject, oppress, suppress a rebellion. Now, I think the ANC government has inherited that mentality. It's the same old ESCOM. It views black working class areas as enemies. And now we have what I can call class apartheid. So because it's not your skin, it's your pocket. But in South Africa, there is a coincidence of race and class. So basically, it's no longer, K-word in your place, but it's, if you are poor, you must know your place. And if you are poor, you get less electricity. And if you are poor, you are pushed around. So even if you have a billing problem, you are not addressed properly. For example, if you have, the electricity goes down, you need repairs, they don't respond to call-ups because they only respond to call-ups in Sandton for the areas, where the rich live.
And you feel that therefore makes ESCOM racist?
Yeah, it is racist. Yeah, it's energy racist. I mean, recently, Mr. Skonati Manchanja, who used to be a good journalist but is now a spin doctor, he announced that they're going to do so-called load reduction. And then he issued a list. All those areas was like Nkoankoa, Guguletu, all the poor black areas are the ones which are subjected to load reduction. Load reduction is an additional strategy over and above load shedding.
Okay, but
basically,
Doctor, let's be fair. There were reasons given for why those specific communities were targeted, and I find it quite suspect that you're leaving it out, because part of the reason why there's load reduction is because those densely populated areas are prone to overburdening the grid, we're told, because of rampant illegal connections. Surely that also needs to be addressed and acknowledged.
Oh yes, we can talk about that, but it's two issues here. On the one hand is the fact that load reduction and load shedding is necessitated by the undeniable fact that there is an electricity shortage in South Africa. Okay? Do you agree on that? The fact that ESCOM is not able to supply, all the needs of the people. Now the question is, how does ESCOM deal with that? Now it starts looking for scapegoats. It starts finding ways of reducing, and then always, even, at work, when the bosses have a problem, have a crisis, they try and shift the burden to the poor, to the working class. Remember, some people, it's not that they are not paying because they don't want to. They are simply unemployed, they don't work, they are pensioners. And also on the question of illegal connections, I mean, there is a lot of informal settlements, shared settlements, which are still not connected to the grid. Now, are we saying that those people must live with candles, with paraffin? I mean, so this is the situation. We must contextualize it. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks very much for giving us your take. I mean, really, this, like I said, is an ongoing issue. You and I can go about it ad nauseum. But luckily, Newsroom Africa is giving this entire day to the electricity woes in the country, and I have no doubt ESCOM will respond to some of the allegations you've made. But let me thank you for now. Certainly appreciate your time and your insights. Dr. Trevor Ngwane is a social activist in Soweto, has been dealing with these issues for quite some time.